Well, it's good afternoon from the studios in Brisbane, Australia, and it's my great privilege to invite Andrena over there in the UK to introduce us to our guest tonight and this afternoon and this morning, because we're in three different countries tonight. Back to you,
Thank you,
Andrena.
Jeffrey. Right, good morning, good day, and welcome everybody who's listening to Dreaming the New Dream. And I can hear an echo, so if anybody's listening, can you hear an echo as well?
I can hear it.
I don't know why you can't hear it, Jeff, and we can. It's bizarre.
I can hear it. I can hear it.
Yeah, no, Jeffrey won.
Oh, okay.
Right, today I've got two Jeffreys on the show. But Jeff Cloud, welcome to Dreaming the New Dream. And it's a pleasure to have you on as our guest today. And I find it very off-putting with this echo, so I'm not quite sure. Yeah, anyway, hopefully it sorts itself out. Anyway, today is the 15th of, no, it's not the 15th, is it? 13th of February 2025. So without much ado, I'd like to welcome Jeff Cloud on our show today.
Hey, I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much. I just tried muting my mic on my end and I thought that it worked, but I think Jeffrey may have solved the problem because I'm not hearing it now. So really grateful to be here. And I love the intro to your show, Dreaming the New Dream, where we're very synchronistic in our messages and our outlook of what's happening at this incredible time that we came here for. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here. And so thank you for the invite. And
well, it's my pleasure. And I know we had a lovely conversation ages ago. Well, it seems to have stopped, whatever you've done, Jeffrey. Anyway, I know you've got so many strings to your bows, so to speak. So I know you started off in America, and I know that you went to a Catholic school, which you said was a wonderful training ground. And I know you also shared about you could see things that others couldn't. And which has led you to understanding energy and be an inspiration for others. So like you're a transformational guide and mentor, excuse me, and you're an author of Waking Up in the Dream, and you're a guitarist. And I know you showed me some amazing guitars last time. I don't know if you've got them to hand, but anyway, without further ado, let's start at the very beginning. Let's start off with when you were born and the steps that have brought you to where we are now.
Okay, thank you for the kind intro. So yes, I was born in the United States in Cincinnati, Ohio, and my father died when I was 7 in a plane crash. So pretty traumatic at a very young age. And what I share through the process of what I've learned, and I'll get into my soul contract of choosing to be part of private Catholic schools to see that program. And if you're involved in the church or whatever, I'm not slamming the church. You can do your own research around all that. I'll just share my experience and what I was able to see at a very, very young age of 7. I don't mean seeing like entities or anything like that. I was seeing programs that were running that were not authentic and they weren't good. And they were the inverted opposite of what the church proclaimed to actually be doing or what its mission was. So I had a couple stepfathers. My second stepfather was an airline pilot, and he dragged us out. Hey, Jim. He dragged us out to San Diego, California, right before I turned 16. And I did not want to leave all my friends and, go on that journey. But I'm glad that I did, because San Diego was amazing, and it was a really great experience for me. What happened after my dad passed away, my mother enrolled me in a private Catholic school. So this is all with nuns. And from the very first day, I could just feel anger and judgment. And that was the control mechanism. And my best friend and I, Mike, who's still my longest friend on the planet, we were straight A and B students. And we did really well in sports, soccer, football. But the one thing that those nuns did not like was we questioned everything. And that got us in trouble. My friend and I were standing in the corner being shamed. Every single day in that private Catholic school was Judgment Day.
Gosh.
With a little bit of love thrown in the background, but I could tell these nuns were extremely angry, either because it wasn't what they thought they were getting into and they gave up their life to get into this. And then, just to fast forward, I was an altar boy in the Catholic Church until 9th grade. Nothing ever happened to me sexually, but I know people that it did. And that was part of my training to really continue to question everything. And that was the key to what I call my number one aha moment. My number one aha moment so far was I was mentoring with several people in California, but one of my mentors was a man named Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote the 4 Agreements, and the Master of Love. And I became what they call an apprentice of his for about 6 or 7 years. And Miguel used to just tell little stories. He was like this, short Mexican man, about 5'6" or 7, very soft spoken and gentle. He was kind of like a Carlos Castaneda. And so he would just tell stories. He wouldn't really tell you how to go in and heal or, create your reality, but he would talk about dreaming a lot. But the one thing he shared with me that was one of the biggest light bulb moments I've ever had was when he said, "Jeff, none of your beliefs are even your own." And I just went, oh my God, that's right. Every single one of our beliefs came from something outside of ourselves. Our parents, our grandparents, the school system, foster parents, whatever it was, the church, the school system. And when I saw that, I immediately saw that how that was holding people prisoners. Like I teach in the book and the course and mentorships that the belief system is a very tiny little prison. Our beliefs wouldn't even fit on the head of a pin compared to what's out here in the vast universe. And yet, when we talk about inner healing and creating our reality, you look at people, and if anything challenges their tiny little belief system or something touches on an unhealed trauma or wound, what happens? Unless they're really awake and have done some inner work, they have an emotional triggered reaction. I call it in the book an automatic reaction. And so they believe that they're right because they get that hit or that painful feeling or, that thing that the belief system is protected by the ego because it wants to believe that it's in some sense of control. There's no control. I don't know if we're on a ball flying through space. I don't know if the earth is flat. I haven't had anybody prove it to me yet, although I've seen really good arguments for both cases. But to me, currently, right now, it doesn't matter. What matters is, what is the programming that I'm running to create my reality timelines? And what I've found is, the way I describe it is, and you can stop me at any time if you have a question.
I will.
I can kind of go because there's a lot I want to share. However, I think a slow pace is better so people don't get overwhelmed. And I'm not saying they are, but we are magnetic beings. Our whole makeup is magnetic. And our beliefs and our thoughts and our words and our vibration, everybody knows about vibration and frequency. Well, those are what are creating our reality. So if we've got these limiting beliefs that the ego is defending because it's been holding on to that for so long, whether it's around money or lack or inner healing or relationship issues, then the ego, unless you go in and show it that this program is self-defeating, and that's what this process does with the daily tracking sheet. It's very simple. that program's going to continue to run and get defended. And this is so true because I speak with people in sessions, or I take them through a 30-day process or a 90-day process. We have a call every week, and then my doors open every day. So they don't have to wait a week if they have something come up, because believe me, in the beginning of this process, your stuff's going to come up, which is great. A lot of people think, oh my God, I caught so many judgments yesterday. I'm like, that's freaking great.
Yeah.
Most people defend their judgments because judgment is, from what I've seen, it's the biggest addiction on the planet. It's way beyond drugs and alcohol. It's so subtle, that I like this, I don't like that, that's good, that's bad. And it's all programming around this belief system. So the belief system is a prison. And the goal is to get to where you're just not labeling everything, but you're following the frequency. And if you're really honest with yourself and you understand that inner healing is an essential part. If you're going to move into 5D or 11D or whatever D, or whatever that is, to me, it's frequency and vibration. We could be going up right now, and then I might have a thought and I come back down into 3D. I don't know until we stabilize. We've got some upgrades to do to our body that we're receiving a lot of help from the sun, incoming frequencies right now. I think the Schumann resonance, whether anybody believes in that or not, is so off the charts today. My buddy in California just sent it to me right before this call, and I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling it, but I don't know. Some people just say they're devastated by it, and I'm kind of like, things just kind of feel the same to me. Once in a while, it feels a little bit more extreme, but I don't know. So I'm not judging anybody. I'm just holding space for people. And this is the time where it's really important for us to come together, because the whole inverted system is to separate us and have us be fighting and be in odds. So the process that I created, the waking up in the dream, it's about doing permanent subconscious reprogramming, because it's a subconscious that's creating our reality. You can say every day, money comes to me easily and effortlessly. Yeah. You can do EFT tapping and do the same thing. That stuff never worked for me ever.
No.
Why? And I spent a lot of money on courses and things, and it was because I wasn't shown how to go in and identify and dismantle the underlying subconscious belief. So you can put all the positive affirmations on that you want, but if you have a subconscious belief or wound that is still running, you still attract lack of money, or you still might attract narcissists or people that take advantage of other people in life and relationships. Everybody's your mirror in a way, and because you're holding that frequency within and you're magnetic, we're either going to attract or repel things in our reality. And so when I saw that the belief system was a prison and figured out how to really track it every day, that's when things started to really open up for me. And then when I figured out that you've got to do the inner healing. And this has been such a mystery around inner healing, because the majority of people don't want to admit that they're wounded, because we already got enough crap coming at us anyway, just trying to survive with food poisoning, air poisoning, frequency poisoning, you name it. And we're just doing our best. So nobody wants to admit that they're wounded, and we've never been taught how to go in and do that. And one of the things that I found is, if you're open to this, to me, it's my go-to thing whenever anything shows up in my reality that either triggers me, upsets me, or that I don't like. I use a 3-word mantra, first of all. Instead of judging it, I've trained myself to go, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting is 100% neutral. Even if there's a little bit of judgment that wants to try and creep in from your ego, you're still, every time you catch that, you're dismantling those automatic judgments. And so doing this is not difficult if you're willing to basically put yourself under a microscope. And you're going to have to sooner or later. We can't move into the higher frequency timelines where there is no judgment, no dis-ease, no lack. I mean, we are abundance. We're everything. There's not going to be money, and then it won't be needed. And you know, some people, because they're frustrated, they go, "I'll believe it when I see it."
Yeah.
Well, that means you're never going to see it, because
Yeah.
your beliefs are creating your reality, and the frequency that you hold around those beliefs is the magnet that either attracts or repels. So even if you're not sure, wouldn't it be worth it to, hey, Brittany, great to see you. Hey, Jim. Wouldn't it be worth it to at least test this out? You can always go back to being negative and being a judgeaholic. I was a judgeaholic. I was taught to be a judgeaholic in Catholic school. Every day was Judgment Day, but that was part of my soul contract, so I could see it.
Yeah.
If you can't see it, you're not going to dismantle it. The ego is going to find a way to defend it. So that was a pretty big chunk right there. Any questions or?
No, but I saw Carol put something up, because I get a bar that keeps coming across and disappearing, and I couldn't read what she said. So can you just go back to what Carol's? All right.
Yeah,
Interesting that the word belief contains both the word lie and fib. Well, there you go. Right. Okay. Thank you, Carol.
Words cast spells, and I've got a whole chapter. The very last chapter in the Waking Up in the Dream book is on the 9 most common spell words to eliminate. Because even like super spiritual people that are way smarter than I am are still using 7 of the most common spell words over and over and over and over. And here they are: want, wish, hope, need, should, try,
could,
and then hard and difficult.
Mm-hmm.
The first 7 of those words tell your subconscious, they give it the exact specific instruction that your desire is still not here yet. So every time you say you need, you want, the subconscious goes, not here, not here, not here, not here. Now, this may seem really trivial. It may sound anal. It'll change your life. And it's so easy to do. You can eliminate and begin to catch those words and replace them in a matter of 2 days. I see it with people that go through my mentorships every month. It's just that in private schools or public schools, we were taught what to think, not how to think. And this whole thing is coming up and being exposed right now. Number one, in the U.S., they're abolishing the public school system, and you know, I'm about partially the way through of converting Waking Up in the Dream to a book for children.
Lovely. Oh,
there's no reason to have to go to school for 12 to 16 years to get into the club and then give up the best 65 years of your life to then become another spell word.
I agree with you.
So,
hey, Jeff, what were those words again? Because I'll punch them up and put them into the screen.
Okay. Want.
Hey.
Wish. Hope. Need. Try. Should. Going to.
Should.
Try. Going to. And then hard and difficult. Those are 2 are a little bit different, but they're still giving the subconscious.
Yeah. Because I always say no coulds, woulds, shoulds, can't, don't, you know, all these words is all negatives. But then, like, we're not taught in the past, you know, even from little, the power of our words, you know. It's easy to keep us dumbed down, but now everybody's having more of awareness. But talking about schooling, my little granddaughter, I've just been up with my son and his wife for a long weekend. And Evie, she's, she 8? Yeah. Anyway, she's 7 or 8. And she says, Nana, I don't really want to go to school. Why do I have to go to school every day?
Right. Carol's got a great comment right there. Even NASA acknowledged that children up to about the age of 5 had about 97% genius potential until they went through the school system and came out dumbed down. Yeah, absolutely. And that was the plan. The plan was hijack their DNA. Don't let them wake up. We understand how to manipulate and invert everything. And this has been going on for thousands of years. So even though things might seem intense right now, we came here for this. There's no doubt.
Exactly.
So
We are the change makers.
Don't give in. Just surround yourself with people that can mirror you and won't judge you if you're having an off day or an off hour or an off moment. Reach out to somebody and just say, hey, I'm really having a hard time right now.
Yeah,
and,
weekend, not using weekend. Yeah, that's another good one.
I mean, there's so many, but
you could go on and on and on.
Are the main ones that I hear people use every single day. And so this ties into what is one of the first processes in the book and the course that is on this daily tracking sheet. It's did you consciously and intentionally create your reality first thing in the morning, as soon as you woke up, while your head was still on the pillow, before those 50 to 80,000 thoughts start running up. I got to get up. I got to get kids ready for school. I got to put on a pot of coffee. I got to check my email. And that's all going to get done. But the subconscious, right when you awaken and right before you go to sleep, and people know this, I didn't invent this, but I'm just distilling it down into the easiest formula that I can. So again, even teenagers can do this. And it's, you create your reality, and you create it with a smile. You love on every one of your cells that are consciously aware. They're listening to every thought and word you have. And then when you do that, then you consciously create your day, and you state everything as though it's already happened. Never in the future, no going tos, no. Even if you have a plan like, well, I've got a 3-month plan for my business, you don't give that to your subconscious. You might give that to the people on your team or whatever, but your subconscious, every instruction you give to it is already here now. And then I do statements like, I'm so grateful that everything always magically showed up for me every day of my life. Like, I'm already saying that I'm already at the end, if there is an end, which there isn't, but
Oh yeah, what end are you on then?
This is what I call permanent subconscious reprogramming. And had this been done when a child was a child, the whole entire life, relationships, kids wouldn't go take jobs that they couldn't stand just so they could make a living. They wouldn't do it. It wouldn't happen. And so, you're seeing all these things come out about they're creating 200,000 robots that are going to do all this stuff. And I'm like, isn't that interesting? I don't even know what to say about that, because I've read some things that AI put together based on all the information it's taken in over the years and stuff, but I still don't trust it. I think it can be used, to manipulate and to make certain things sound good. Like some of these people claim to be, the Arcturian Galactics or whatever, and they got all these hits because they claim to channel somebody that nobody else can channel. So people think that they're so special. And then, they've got some half-truths in there with some, so it's like this process, waking up in the dream, is all about tracking your frequency and vibration from moment to moment to moment. And then there'll be times when you're out in nature. I'm hanging out with the wild dogs here in Thailand, and I'm just in the moment. I'm in the moment. But I can feel immediately from practicing with these tools and filling out this daily tracking sheet. You do this for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, you'll do it for the rest of your life. Or if you stop doing it, you may fall back. I've had people reach out to me and go, man, I really need to get on a call with you. Things have really shifted. And I'm like, when did you stop using the tools? And they're like, yeah. So it's just practice. It's practice, and there's nothing hard or difficult about it. It's just using specific tools and pointers to catch the old automatics. And so,
if you could see your thoughts in a reel or hear your thoughts, what you said like 5 minutes ago, well, you wouldn't believe it, would you? Like all the time, it's constant.
Yeah, we're running 50 to 80,000 thoughts a day.
Is that all?
And well, it might be more. And somebody that does great research on that I forget his name. I think it was John Asseroff, and he might have got it from somewhere else, but he said 80% of those 50 to 80,000 thoughts are usually negative for most people.
Yeah.
And you look at all the programming on the Tell Live Vision and all the advertisements, and they're made to trigger you. They understand how to manipulate. When I saw, this is probably 20, 30 years ago, that there's 30 frames per second on the Tell Live Vision, but you're not seeing those 30 frames per second, but they can slip in subliminals on all 30 of those, such as you're hungry, or you're not good enough, or you need to buy this product or whatever. Your subconscious mind sees it, but your conscious mind doesn't see it. Mm-hmm. And that's when, I mean, I was just like, you got to be kidding me. If you find out about this and you're still tuning into that, or the cabal controlled media, I mean, somebody's not asking questions here. And
they used to do it in the movies, didn't it? So when you went to the picture theater, it was about 4 minutes before intermission. There was a little frame put in there, you know, Jaffa's ice creams, juice, whatever.
And they showed that the sales of Coke and popcorn went up 84%, either 82 or 84. So this stuff is real, people. And this is why, you know, I'll watch a movie once in a while, but it's even hard to find a movie now where the actors didn't sell their soul, or they're involved in Hollywood dark stuff. Or it's very strange. And what it's doing is it's pushing me personally to go more into the music or to be out in nature, because it's like once in a while I just want to watch something because I've been going all day. But I'd probably spend more time trying to find a movie that doesn't have a bunch of manipulation and death and destruction than I do actually watching one. Mm-hmm. Like just doing a search.
Do you recall that movie came out in the 80s and the guy gave him a pair of sunglasses?
Yes.
What was it called?
And then he saw all the subliminal signs in the message. Like in downtown New York and on all the billboards. I forget. I came across the name of that last week, but I forget what it is.
They live. They live. That's it. They're from Andromeda, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. So does anybody have any questions, or, I mean, I'm happy to open it up.
Yeah. I think we've got your sheet for people to download if they want and take a look at. Have we got that on the tracker sheet? Did we have that?
No, the tracking sheet. You gotta get the book for that.
I'll get the book, right? Okay, so
key, but it's very reasonable. You can download it instantly, and then I've got probably, not to sound overwhelming, but I've got 200 to 300 hours on my video channel, Portal 2 YouTube channel, Portal 2 Awakening, where I do these talks and I walk people through it step by step by step. And, you
want me to put that, you want me to play your course promo?
Sure, you can do that if you'd like. Thanks.
Oh, hang on a sec. Hang on. All right.
All the sound's all the way down, I think. Interesting. There's no sound. Okay, we can still watch it. It was a nice little video.
There we are.
Doesn't come through the same when it's coming through on StreamYard. I don't know why, but it's okay. So the people that are on here currently, I know almost all of them. So I don't know if they have any questions, but I'm happy to answer any questions, or what about this? What about that? How do you heal this? And I may or may not have the answer, but the tools work. So you have the answer if you're willing to question it.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, I can't think of anything else, but I would like to know a little bit about the book you're writing for the children. Can you share a little bit about that, or how that's come about that?
Hey, brother Barrett, good to see you. Well, I don't have the cover for it yet. This is the current Waking Up in the Dream book.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've had teenagers go through this course as young as 11, and they had no problem following the steps in the tracking sheet. In fact, as I said earlier, they were actually more curious and more open to it than their parents were. And so, hey, thanks, Jim. So I don't have any artwork, but I'm going to make it as simple as possible. It's already simple, but put it in child's language, put in child's artwork, and really, I've got some contacts with people that are interested in putting it in some New Earth schools. And that's a whole big shift right now, because in the past, a lot of these school systems have had to be, authorized by the government or something like that, and so that's what got us into a lot of trouble in the last hundreds of years, by the Rockefellers taking over, or whoever's above them, taking over everything and just dumbing everything down to create more wage slaves. So it'll be a simple book, but it'll be something that the kids can understand. And so, yeah, it's a big passion of mine, because it would have saved myself 16 years of schooling, and just what I knew was just mostly useless BS.
Yeah,
giving up thousands of hours. What I immersed myself in sports, because that was really kind of, for me, the school part was easy, even though I found most of it boring. And you get into history and stuff, and you can just tell certain things were manipulated, and there was just like, why would I have to learn that when there's so many other important things that I could learn?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. Going off the different subject, I know that you've set up Wild Jungle Dogs in 2020 in Thailand. So can you share something about that? Because I know you said there's lots of strays, how that came about.
Well, I came to Thailand on a fluke in 2016. I had been a recording engineer for about 25 or 30 years in San Diego. And my last studio, I had 5 different studios, not at the same time, but my last studio was in a house, and then it had a separate place for the studio and a separate place to live. And there was a freak flooding accident in the kitchen where a pipe broke underneath the foundation, and the carpet and the walls flooded, and I was out of business for 6 months. And there was construction guys in the house every day. And at the end of that 6 months, I thought I was going to go back to business as usual. But my landlords called up 4 days before December in 2016, and they said, "We love you. You're such a great tenant, but we lost money from the insurance company, and we're going to move back into the house. So now after 7 years, you've got 34 days to move out during Christmas." So I didn't have a place to live, and I didn't have a studio for the first time in 25 or 30 years. So what is the gift here? Because it was pretty big of a shock, My financial situation was affected. My living situation was affected. And just my whole thing collapsed. Well, I have two sisters, one older and one younger. I'm in the middle. And my younger sister, Jill, God bless her, lives up in Napa, California. And she just said, Jeffy, just come up here and live with us. You don't have to pay rent or anything. We'd love to see you. Because I moved out on my own right before my 17th birthday. So I hadn't spent a lot of time with my sisters except for once in a while at Christmas or Easter. So I went up to Napa, California, and there's really nothing to do in Napa except work in a winery. And I did a couple other jobs, but there wasn't anywhere to go there. So I met somebody on Facebook who lived outside of Bangkok, and she was a yoga instructor that had cured herself from cancer and had written a couple books on really high quality recipes and desserts that don't contain any sugar or funky stuff, just brilliant stuff. Well, we started Skyping every day and doing video calls, and we thought we were soulmates. And so she said, just come to Thailand. If it doesn't work out, Thailand's really great. I didn't know anything about Thailand. I'd heard of Bangkok, but I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know how much nature was here. I had just seen, the Thai videos that you see. And so because my heart was involved, I came to Thailand with only $650 to my name. No income, no insurance, no fallback plan. And what I found out about Thailand was that it was gorgeous. And our relationship ended after about 2 weeks. And I had two options: go back to the US, live with my sister again, which she probably would have allowed me to do because she loves me. But I would have had to go get a 9-to-5 job, being in my 50s. And I was like, there's no way that's going to happen at all. I slept in my recording studios for 27 years so I could build up all my gear because I chose to do what I loved. And as a result, I was successful and had great equipment and have a really wonderful client list of people from all over the world. I'm no longer doing that. I'm still doing I've got a small studio here in Thailand, but it's just for myself. So what happened is,
excuse me a minute. I can hear feedback happening here.
Yeah, I hear it too a little bit.
Yeah, go on. Sure
yeah. Okay. So I lived in Chiang Mai, which is kind of a digital nomad capital, which is in northern Thailand. People speak English, and lots of consciously aware people. And I moved out of the city right before the pandemic, and I rented a house out here in nature about 25 minutes away. And I just absolutely fell in love with it. And what I found was there's wild dogs that are born and living in survival mode every single day of the week. And I've always been deeply into nature since I was a kid. I've used to go into the woods every day, rescue animals, build tree forts when I lived in Cincinnati, Ohio. And, it's just always been a really easy connection for me. So one thing led to another. You find a dog. My thing is, when I wake up in the morning, I've shifted from what can I get for Jeff to how can I serve? And that was a really pivotal shift. And it's not because I'm so spiritually awake or any of that nonsense. It's because one of the other things one of my mentors told me was, Jeff, there are no others. Everyone is you. And I was like, really? You mean even the bad guys that are harming children and poisoning, they're all playing their role. And so one of the things that I figured out is these people must be held accountable for crimes against humanity. But if we're going to move into higher frequency levels, we're going to have to forgive all of them. And I hear some people sometimes say when they're on their healing journey, well, I can forgive, but I'll never forget. That means you haven't forgiven. you're still holding a reason why you can't fully forgive. So guess what? That's attracting your magnetic frequency, which is going to attract another situation or repel abundance from your vibrating holographic reality. So this, I didn't come up with writing this book because I'm so smart. I came up with writing this book because there were times in my 20s and 30s where I was suicidal. I was a fairly smart kid. What does that mean even? I could make it through the school system. I was good at sports. I could process information, but there was pain in my life from trauma and what I saw in the outer world. And it was like, there has to be more to this dream than pain and suffering. And if I can't find what that is, I don't want to be here anymore. And the only thing that kept me, because there were times when I was sitting in my garage with a loaded gun to my head. And the only thing that kept me, I wasn't worried about myself because I was in pain. I didn't leave because I know it would have hurt my mom. And so I hung in there. So then what did I do? Well, got into alcohol. That would take me out of thinking about that other stuff. Being huge into music, got into smoking weed. And I can definitely say that I had some great experiences on both of those substances, although I don't recommend really either of them personally, especially alcohol, because it lowers your frequency and it can have entities and, it's just bad. But I will say it could be responsible for me still being here today because I used it because I didn't have anything else at the time. I didn't have the tools. So when I started to studying about different healing modalities and things, the first thing that came up was forgiveness. And what I share with people is, you can say whatever you want about your dad or your mom was an alcoholic or your father raped you. And I journey with all kinds of people that's happened to. And what I find is those people go on to be the greatest teachers, the people that have been through some of the toughest stuff, that chose the hardest soul contract. And also, if you're open, to me it's a fact, but I can't really prove it to anybody, that you chose every single thing to happen to you as part of your soul contract before you came here. And if you would have told me that 30 years ago, I'd go, there's no way.
Yeah.
I said, there's no way I would have chosen this amount of pain and suffering. And where did that keep me? It kept me in resistance and it kept me from healing because the problem was out there. I knew I had a problem in here, but the source of the problem appeared to be outside myself. And it wasn't until I got a hold of that and went, wow, well, if I really chose all this stuff, even though I don't remember, then the only thing I can do is, number one, forgive. And how do I know if I've really forgiven? I can thank them for perfectly playing their role. Now, I don't tell a woman that's come on the first call with me who got molested by her father or whatever to just thank, of course not. But that's how you can really tell if you've really forgiven somebody. And I've still got things that pop up in my mind around money that I loaned people where they burned me and still haven't paid me back to this day. And these are highly spiritual people. So once in a while, it still pops up. It's not about the money because I'm abundant. It's about that we were doing some really good things together. And we were more powerful together than separate. And how did that, me loaning you money, you decide you don't need to pay, whatever. This has happened to everybody. I'm not a victim. Okay?
No.
All this stuff is training. What is the gift here? And this is all covered in the book. If you begin to ask yourself, what is the gift here? Every single time you get challenged or you have a judgment about somebody else, and to extrapolate on what is the gift here, because it's 5 words, the more powerful question is, what is this trying to show me or teach me about me? It's never about the other person unless they're physically abusing you or assaulting you, and then get out of that situation, of course. But if it's just something that triggers you, then it's like, okay, what's the gift here? You know?
Totally. And I think, you know, when you say that to, right, Jim says, a pastor once said, you don't have to tell one forgiven that you had forgiven them. That was helpful to me at the time. Yeah, that makes sense.
And some people have passed on, you know?
Yeah.
People have died. And so it's about
a lot of
clearing
people
your
are not ready
frequency.
they're not ready to hear that, are they? When, you know, when you hear terrible things that have happened, you know, there's a soul contract going on. And, you know, like I've said to people, if you could see this acting out on a stage and you're looking from above to see who's playing out what role. But it's like when you do more and more inner healing on yourself, then you're more aware of, well, this role's playing out and this is helping me and this is a gift. Like you say, it's looking at the gift of, okay, you know, like different things have happened to me. And like, you know, I just think, you know, it wasn't happening to me, it was happening for me.
Yeah. I mean,
And
another way to look at some of these people that appear to be the worst people on the planet, like a Gates or a Fauci or Klaus Schwab or any Rockefeller, it's possible, and I can't prove it because I can't, but when we talk about forgiveness, they might be very highly elevated, spiritually ascended masters that chose to come down here specifically at this time to wake us up.
yeah,
Because look what's been happening. This has been going on for thousands of years. Why all of a sudden are we waking up? And so, you know, I think these people should be prosecuted for crimes against humanity and the children and poisoning us, but we're going to have to forgive them sooner or later, because you can't take that frequency up into 5D. It doesn't exist.
No,
totally. So it's just another way to look at that and go, isn't that interesting? They could be very high level ascended masters that came down here, and they were going to have to play the most horrible, shocking roles, because look, some people still aren't even waking up now.
No, that's right.
There's so much information out there about the thing and everything else. Yeah. Still people, this brings me back to what you said about some people, you know, don't want to forgive because what's happened is it was traumatic when it happened. And then the child, if it happens when you're a child, puts a protection layer around that so they don't have to ever feel that or go close to that again. Then to further consolidate it deep within you, they've been telling that story about what this person did to them their entire life. Now they're like, who would I be without my story?
That's exactly right.
Some people just can't do that. Well, who you would be is free and healing. That's who you'd be. And you'd be a high-level person that goes, okay, I may not remember, but if anything that this guy's saying or anything else I've heard from other people is true, then if I chose this, there's only one thing to do, and that's to find the gift. Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, thank you. Oh, God bless you. I'm sending you a big, big hug. Yeah, Lisa's amazing. She's like, man, what I watched her go through in Australia at the beginning of the deception was, the pressure was unbelievable. And just my hat's off to you, Lisa. Big, big love.
Well, that's nice.
Thank you for that very kind. That really
I'm going to throw one at you, Jeff. So why did you choose the name Cloud?
Okay, good question. Honesty here. My original surname is Clough, Clough. Nobody's ever been able to pronounce it in school or anywhere else my entire life. I named my recording studios Cloud9 Recording, not really having anything to do with my name. But then I ran into somebody that I went to high school with years later, And the guy said, I remember you. You're Jeff Cloud, right? And I went, right. And I just picked it up and had my name changed for $100 or $200 in the court or whatever. And it's just easy to remember, so that's the honest thing about that. Clout is supposedly Irish. Although if it was with a K, it would be German, or it could be. Yeah. I think my background is more Irish, but I don't know. I don't feel super Irish, but.
So another question without notice. There are many times there I think that when I slip away go into the dream world, sometimes I think the dream world's actually the real world, and this here is the dream.
I love that. I said that on the last podcast. I'm like, what if it's inverted and we're really asleep right now and we're awake when we go to sleep? But to me, it seems like I don't know if there is anything such thing as control, but I feel like I have more control right now. When I'm in the sleeping time, I feel like just things pop in and out, and I don't feel like I have control over them. And sometimes I have the weirdest dreams where I might be being attacked, or, not all my dreams are love and light. That's for sure. And that could have something to do with, trauma in this lifetime or past lifetimes. I don't know. And it's been told that maybe a lot of things that even come in aren't even our own. It's like a radio station out there where millions of things are being broadcast and all these different timelines and stuff. And so I don't know.
And you're in your dial right, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're fine-tuning yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And so it starts from the time I wake up until the time I go to sleep. And I do my best. I have people set alarms on their phone when they go through the course and they're using the tracking sheet. Because on the tracking sheet, it's like, did you consciously and intentionally create your reality first thing in the morning? Did you do any self-love in the mirror? Like really looking in the mirror and go, I love you, Jeff. And this is the one part of the course that I find most people have the most difficulty with.
Really?
You would say, well, obviously men, because they've been wounded, but it's women too.
Yeah.
It's women too. And so what that tells you is there's programs of not good enough or shame or guilt running. And so it shows you exactly where to go. And you just hang in there and you just go, I love you. I love you. I love you. And if it pops in where, no, you don't, you're just saying that because he told you to say that, the typical things that might come in when you're starting to do it, stuff works. And then you start tracking every time you have a judgment of somebody else or a triggered reaction or, separation. You're not going to catch them all.
No.
But what if you catch, 10? Some people catch 360 on their first or second day. And they go, yeah, I really suck. I caught 360. I'm like, you don't suck. That's 360 high fives.
Yeah, I'll say.
You caught it when your ego would have justified it in the past. And now you're dismantling it because you can't dismantle a program or a wound unless you can see it. So this whole process is designed to get you to be able to see it and then replace the things that, would benefit you. I was searching for a word better than need or would. Right. There is why I hesitated. So when you begin to dismantle the automatics, you'll find your replacement words. I intend that this happens, or not I hope, I need, I wish, I want. No. And it's very easy. You can eliminate these words in a couple of days.
Yeah. I like the word choose.
Yeah.
I choose this, or I'm choosing rather than I need, because we're coming from a needy place, and that's not what we're about, is it?
Or I have, which is already telling your subconscious it's already here.
Exactly.
Even if it's not and or you haven't manifested yet, you're giving the direct instructions in simple forms. Yep.
Yeah. And talking of dreams, well, this week's, I can't remember what night it was, before waking up, I had the most biggest snake in my dream. I don't know if it was a python or what it was. I was thinking,
Right.
oh my God. And I can remember sort of closing the doors because I wanted to know where it was going to be. I didn't want it roaming around.
Right. Yeah, snakes are very interesting in dreams too, because they can be
So
scary.
I'm taking it as transformation.
There you
Well,
go.
the Chinese, it's wooden snake for this next 12 months.
Oh, this wasn't wooden. This was real.
I know, but I'm just going. Hey, I just want to throw something at you. I'm going back about 40 years, I suppose, and I was standing there in the tutorial room, and the door opened, and come young Hillary Rodham and young Bill Clinton, and they walked into this tutorial room, and so I said, right, I've got your book that you've about to play out, or your roles that you're going to play out, and so there's a big screen, and there was a play. So the play was all set, and they watched the play, and then I'd come back to the very beginning of the play, and I hand them the script that they had to play, and so once they saw the whole movie, then I came back and said, right, you're going to drop into the scene. So next second, they left me and walked into the actual silver screen, and then they became the movie, and so then when the chapter finished, so to speak, or that page finished, and I flipped over the page, they stepped out of it, and then they came back to reflect on what they've just gone and played out. Yeah. And
Interesting.
then, so we went through that scenario there. So I was just observing and watching them. So that was before they actually then went, he went before become president of America. So that was that stage of going through that process. The other thing I want to talk to you about was about 5 years ago. And I was in my spiritual office, and I'm looking down the corridor, and there's desks. There's doors at each, all on the left-hand side, and all had their doorkeeper standing at each one of those doors. And my door was open, and in comes Queen Elizabeth II, and she comes in, and she takes up a seat, and I said, "Well, how'd you like that life?" And she said, "No, it's too regimented, too structured. Couldn't even go down and Brighton Beach for a swim, So I said, well, funny enough, that's what Prince Philip said when I was talking to him. And I then said, oh, what would you like to do? And she said, I'd like to come back as a wild child. And I said, okay. So I looked down and looked at, sorry, I can't fit you in. Yeah, I'm looking down through the whole timeline, eons, so I can't fit you in. And then I said, hang on a sec. I'll tell you what I'll do. I can drop you back into the same timeline, that you just had. Have a think about it and come and see me again. So 7 days later, in this physical world, she comes back into my office. She pulls up a chair and sits right alongside me. And she said, yeah, I'd like to take you up on the offer. So I said, do I call you Betty? And she gave me the stare down look. And she said, look, I want to take you up on the offer. I want to be called Margaret, and I want to spend time with Jeffrey Archer. And I said, okay, all good. So then when I came back into this world, the first thing I did was get onto the computer screen, and I looked up Jeffrey Archer. And his name was, he was Lord Baron Jeffrey Archer. He was the first member of the House of Lords to get kicked out of Parliament for perjury. He was a wild, but he actually went on to write a fantastic author. And so, but the other thing about it is that Elizabeth did have a sister, and her name was Margaret. And if you ever seen A Royal Night Out, you'll see that Margaret was a wild child. And there straight away, I thought, oh, that's really interesting how the soul, I dropped back into that same timeline. So really, at the end of the day, we had the regimented Elizabeth, who had to play the structural role of being royalty, and she had this role that she had to play. And then her sister, who didn't have the actual role that to play, but she could have the freedom to play. So collectively, that soul had the experience of learning both sides of the coin.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting share. Hey, are you able to tell how many people are on right now? Usually there's a number up by the time.
14.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about anything? What I find is when I do lives, hey, Denise, great to see you. As soon as one person asks a question, everybody else feels like it's okay to ask a question. So, does anybody have a question about clearing, healing, manifesting? I don't know if I'll be able to answer it, but the tools will be able to answer it for you. Hey, Sasha, great to see you too. All right. Got some great people. Well, do you have any questions, either one of you?
No.
No?
No, well, I just see, I mean, I've loved your sharing. It's been really amazing. Listen to, giving people the space to talk about their dream and what they're bringing into reality for humanity. And so your sharing is lovely. And you've given people a lot of tools to think about, because lots to think about on so many levels. And we've got all the information, your website and how to find you and connect with you and your book. So you've given people that are ready to take another step forward, if you like, to help free themselves even more. So, you've given people a lovely gift today. So I thank you for that. It's been amazing.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm so grateful. And I'm glad that what I shared resonates. And
yeah. And it's funny because I saw you, I don't know, your name popped up somewhere and immediately I messaged you and I said, would you like to share and come on Dreaming the New Dream? I didn't even know who you were or anything, but I know that I was guided to connect with you, to bring you on the show. And that's what I follow through. Like suddenly it's like, okay, a name comes in or something pops up and I know I got to follow that link. So I'm really glad I did because you've given lots of information. So thank you. Thank you.
You connected me with somebody else that's amazing. You had Sandra Mendelson on your show, The Horse Whisperer.
Oh, yeah.
Whisperer. So we've been connecting and doing video calls. She's in Florida and really another beautiful soul. So I actually met her through your show. So thank you for that. It's all connected. It's so interesting that I have some of the deepest connections with people all over the world because of Facebook that I've never met in person.
I like that, Jim. I had insomnia and the show just popped up tonight. Well, say no more. But yeah, we've been blessed to have different people on the show that have led to amazing things for them. And, the feedback we get. And it's just like, it's not about numbers. For me, it's about the quality of the person that's on,
Right.
And I think those that see it resonate, and we get lovely feedback, people saying thank you and what an amazing person, and I've been out and I bought the book, or all these different things. So it's networking, caring and sharing. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I'm really grateful. It's such an amazing time right now.
Fantastic.
A lot of it, like myself, I'm like, I've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. But if you really look at it, 20 years to wait or even longer is nothing compared to,
where we are now,
whatever. So, it's moving pretty quickly now. And my goal is to connect with like-minded souls. I'm probably going to be doing traveling this year. I've been invited to come to Australia. I've been invited to go to the US. I've been invited to go to the UK, and really would love to take people through this process in person where we can hang out for a few days together, break bread together, do some recreation together, and really get to know each other and really go into this mirroring process. And it's really not hard work. It's really just being willing to show up and be authentic. There may be some tears, but I tell you what, when I'm on a call with somebody, I can tell when they're getting ready to go into tears because of what we're talking about. And I'll end up getting in tears before them. They're trying to hold it back. And I'm just like, let it go, I'd love to.
Well, you'll have to get you into Glastonbury when you come to we'll get you to Glastonbury when you're in the UK.
Oh, I would love to. Yeah, tears are so healing. They're some of the most healing thing. That's why men have been taught that, don't be a pussy and crying is for
Yeah,
babies.
yeah.
No, it's another inverted truth, you know. So we're here. Hey, Charles is here too. We're all meant to be holding the.
A couple of things then. First of all, you used the word hangout.
Is that
got to change the word from hang? You don't want them left hanging, you know, hanging. Yeah. You've got to change that word. Now, tears. I found this out some years ago. They say the eyes are the window of their soul, and when tears come, the most strongest homeopathic remedy you can do is let the tears come down and go across your lips and into your mouth and mix with your saliva and swallow it. You'll find that you'll just heal instantaneously. It'll go right through your whole body. Just change it. The other thing, as a musician, I want to let you know, back in December, we changed the complete structure of all the music on the radio station to 432. So 11,000 songs are all on 432. Yeah.
Nice.
We
Very nice.
kept that
I
one
was
quiet
wondering
until
about
tonight.
that because, you know, many people, well, some people know I've been a recording engineer since I was 17. But if I go to YouTube and I listen to something that says that it's 432, I can't verify that that's true because the algorithms that they use, first of all, if a 3-minute song at 44.1 or 48K, which is what a recording studio usually does, some do higher now, a 3-minute song, if you knock it down to an MP3, is between 1.5 and 5 megabytes. So it goes down from 40 to 1.5 to 3.5 to 4. So where did that 90% of the information go? And they're saying it's now 432.
Oh, you mean in the compression? Yeah, okay, I understand.
Yeah. So I think a lot of things that say they're 432 aren't really 432, but I'm all for it. And I think you might need a special meter or something to really read that. But when we knock it down to an MP3, I mean, that allowed us to put, you know, a ton of things on our little drives, but the quality just, I mean, it just got like 95% of the information. That'd be like cutting our heads off, getting rid of the body, and we're just walking around as the head, which is like 1/10 of our entire, you know, makeup. It's really weird when you think about it. And
I think of Monty Python there, come back and fight, you bastard.
I think the mind fills in a lot of missing information. You know, it's very interesting. But
don't forget MP3. I mean, we used to use Wave, and I mean the amount of capitulation that you had to give away on those original 2.1 gig hard drives. Was it 2.1 gigs? Yeah. You had to go into go from stereo down to mono, and then you had to reduce it down to 22 sampling rate just to get some music on your hard drives. But now it's opened up.
I'm not a fan of that because what goes into creating that music and what's coming out of those instruments, especially if they're an organic instrument like a wooden guitar or a piano or the drums, is everything. So, you know, I'm not a snob about it. I listen to MP3s on my phone every single day, but I'll take a vinyl album with any popping and crackling any day because the depth of it, or even 8 tracks. I mean, I remember finding Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon on the side of the road. And this is when my buddy and I used to put everything on headphones, and we were listening to that. It changed my world. And somebody tossed that out of a car on the side of the road, and we found it and plugged it in. And yeah, it's great. So,
talking of music, have you got your guitar at hand? You could show Jeff that amazing guitar you got.
I don't have stuff turned on, but this is the one I brought from. This is a Paul Reed Smith. Carlos Santana kind of put Paul Reed Smith on the map because of the bird inlays. And this is called a 10 top because of the quality. Whoops, everything's reversed here. Of the quality of the flame maple top. The top is the thickness of the brown right there. And then the body is mahogany. So when they say a flame maple top, the top is kind of sandwiched together. and then it's carved out. And they just do beautiful work. But this is just the one that I happened to bring from California because I thought it was more universal.
Do you want to give us a tune? A little note?
Of course,
how about
of course, this all comes back to timbre too, don't they? They talk about the timbre of a voice.
Yes, yes.
Your guitar's got that sound too.
I'm turning on a modeler right now, which is what I use to get my sound through here. I'm not sure if this is going to feed back or not. So
just a couple of notes would be magical.
What I might have to do is turn off my microphone. Let's see what shows up. I've got a looping pedal, if anybody knows what that is. And
sorry, can you say that again?
I have a looping pedal. It's called a looper. And so what I just played, I can step on, I can hit a pedal, and then what I just played will continue to keep playing. So then I can play over the top of it with a melody or a bass line or whatever, but I wasn't prepared to do that right now.
No, it's pretty brilliant.
But I didn't want to refuse you because when you asked me if I would do it, I was like, I'm not really ready to do it.
That was amazing. I had gooses and shivers as soon as you started. It was like, ooh.
Thank you. I have a page on reverbnation.com, which is reverbnation.com/Jeff Cloud, all one word. And it's got different things on there from pretty things like that. Then it's got rock. I played on some albums with some pretty big people, and also some Delta slide stuff. So a little something for everyone. And I just really appreciate you guys inviting me on the show and doing all your wonderful graphics and sound and everything. And thank you. Thank you, Sasha.
That's Jeff's department. I can't do any of that. It's like, oh my God. Ooh.
Yeah, he's amazing, and I'm just really grateful to connect with you guys. And does anybody have a question? I remember when I used to sit in front of my mentors, and it was getting towards the end of the day or the weekend, and they'd go, "Does anybody have a question?" And I would, yeah, there it is. And I would have a question, but I was afraid to ask. Okay, guidance would be great. This week, Andrena and I registered a social enterprise, which will make a big difference in people's lives. So how can we best gain the support to get it going? Social enterprise, does that mean something on the internet, right? Global? I'm responding to Carol's question. Can you hear me, Andrena?
Sorry, yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
So Carol's question.
Right.
Some guidance would be great. Andrena and I registered a social enterprise, which will make a big difference in people's lives. So how can we best gain the support to get it going? For me, Facebook Lives.
Really?
Facebook Lives, yeah. And ask your friends to share it if they resonate with it. Also, YouTube's good. Is the music on YouTube inverted? Probably some of it. I mean, look at who's winning the Grammys now and all the satanic stuff and all the payoffs about it. It's deep. It's all coming out. But what I do is I just feel it. If I feel it in my heart, I listen to it. If it feels off, even some of these, like, these people are getting all these clicks from YouTube for 432 healing, and they put all this stuff, and I listen to it and I go, that doesn't really feel healing to me at all.
No.
The other day I listened to something that was going, and I was like, man, that is just like harsh on me. So
yeah,
just,
and that's
you know,
it. What's real and what's not? You know, what are we being fed AI?
Your internal guidance system.
You're just like,
will
oh my
guide
God,
you,
listen to
but
that.
there may be some healing to be done to really figure out, you know, when you're really operating from your heart instead of your head. So anyway,
well, thank you. It's been an absolute delight. You've shared so much wisdom and knowledge, and the music was incredible. So wish you well on your journey, and thank you very much for being our guest this week.
Thank you both, and for everybody that's come on and contributed. And if you feel like anybody would benefit from the tools, please feel free to share it out, you know, on your sites and stuff. Really appreciate it. Okay. We'll catch up on the next one. And thank you again. And stay excited, everybody.
Yeah, indeed. Woohoo! And thank you, everybody, for tuning in this week. And same time, same place next week.
All right.
Now we've got people coming through.
Okay.
Thank you, Sasha.
Okay, and then we just go with our little thing at the end.